Mr. Speaker, I said enough is enough, and I mean it, and that means I am prepared to do what must be done. So early next year, we will introduce new legislation to make unambiguously clear that if you enter the UK illegally, you should not be able to remain here. Instead, you will be detained and swiftly returned either to your home country or to a safe country where your asylum claim will be considered. And you will no longer be able to frustrate removal attempts with late or spurious claims or appeals. And once removed, you should have no right to re-entry, settlement or citizenship.
The UK and Ireland have recently found themselves in a contentious dispute over migration, fuelled by the British government's Rwanda scheme. This initiative, introduced by then Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, aims to deport asylum seekers arriving in the UK to Rwanda for their applications to be processed. However, the plan has faced significant criticism from various quarters, including right-wing voices who deem it expensive and ineffective, and left-wing critics who view it as cruel and potentially a violation of international law.
Pray! Everybody kneel down and pray!
Ireland's latest flashpoint on the issue of immigration included people kneeling in prayer in front of police. Come for the rosary, stay for the right. People were protesting outside a site due to accommodate asylum seekers in Wicklow. This is Simon Harris's constituency, the country's new Taoiseach, or Prime Minister. The site was supposed to accommodate some of the asylum seekers living in tents outside the International Protection Office in Dublin. But in the last few days, the issue has threatened to develop into a full-scale row between the British and Irish governments. Here is how. Last week, the Minister for Justice, Helen McEntee, said that 80% of the 6,000 people or so claiming asylum in the Republic this year were coming from across the land border with Northern Ireland. The Deputy Prime Minister in Ireland then said that's to do with the Rwanda effect. Rishi Sunak in turn said, see, Rwanda's working people are deterred. They're leaving the UK, coming to Ireland. Then the Irish cabinet decided to try and rush through legislation this week to bring people back to the United Kingdom. London has said, though, I don't think so. Jad Al-Hamani is from Jordan, flew from London to Belfast a few weeks ago, then got a bus from there to Dublin across Ireland's frictionless border.
I didn't stay in the UK because I've been told that they will send me to Rwanda.
The prospect of being sent back to Rwanda was one of the reasons why you decided to come to Ireland. I see. And do you think that is the same for lots of people here in the tents?
I think, yeah, I can't say yes or no. I'm not 100% sure, but I think, yeah, it's the same reason.
Some people we interviewed did cite Rwanda as a reason they're here. Others did not. We spoke to 3 immigration lawyers today who told us they're not yet experiencing a notable spike in the numbers of asylum seekers, saying that the Rwanda policy is a determining factor when choosing Ireland above the UK. So you could argue it is in the interests of both governments to talk up that Rwanda effect. Dublin can say, see, it's Rwanda that has resulted in scenes like this on the streets of the capital. London can say, see, the Rwanda policy is working. People are being deterred and are coming to Ireland instead. Can we see it?
Yeah, of course.
Ghaffar is from Afghanistan,
nice
arrived
anyway.
in Ireland from the
It's life,
UK
innit?
recently.
You deal with it.
Spent half his life in and out of British asylum detention centres, threatened with deportations that didn't materialise.
Every time they catch me, they put me in detention centre for 3 months, 2 months, and they release me back. And they
So
give
how long were you in the UK for?
some 17 years, close to 17 years.
17 years?
Yeah, long time, mate, long time. That's the truth is. Yeah,
And why did you come to Ireland?
I come to Ireland because I got fed up of these people, mate. Because these people only make you angry, and these people not helping you. And that's the truth.
For this Afghan, the ultimate deterrent was this, being stuck in a system that did not work. been in it for so long, he rails against it with a British accent.
You make me sad, man. That's the truth is.
Why? Because you feel like your life has just...
I waste my time, innit? That's the truth.
Porrick O'Brien there. Well, joining me now from near Dublin is the Irish MEP Barry Andrews. Mr. Andrews, how much of an issue, statistically, numerically, is it of asylum seekers crossing into Ireland from the UK?
Well, the figure that has been shared widely over the last few days is that 80% of international protection applicants are coming across the land border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. And that's extrapolated from the fact that very few of the international protection applicants are presenting at ports or at airports. So evidently and anecdotally, it appears to be fairly certain that at least 80% of the applicants are coming across the border.
The Irish Foreign Minister, Micheál Martin, said that that 80% figure was not based on data, evidence or statistics. So do we have any official sense of of whether there is a Rwanda effect or not? Or is this, as Porrick suggested, perhaps it is suit both governments to talk this up at the moment?
Well, the Rwanda effect is slightly...
The current tension traces back to late 2020, when Ireland designated the UK as a safe third country to deport asylum seekers following Brexit. This designation implies that asylum seekers can be returned to the UK from Ireland, considering the UK as a safe place for them. This designation is part of what both parties refer to as an operational agreement. However, the details of this agreement remain undisclosed, with differing accounts from the UK and Ireland on its specifics. It is believed to be a reciprocal arrangement for returning asylum seekers deemed inadmissible, aiming to prevent abuse of the common travel area, an open border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland.
Doubtful, because in fact there has been a spike in international protection applicants in Ireland over 2022 and 2023. It suits Rishi Sunak's current political agenda to allege that the Rwanda effect is very, very serious and that it is causing the movement of people out of the United Kingdom. It may well be true, and you heard in the piece there that there are some who are very concerned about the very distressing arbitrary detention of applicants from places like Afghanistan. And what's really worrying about what Rishi Sunak is doing is that he must know that there's a free movement area in the common travel area between the UK and Ireland. He knows that Ireland is struggling with its numbers, and he has a total reckless disregard for the impact that's having on Ireland's migration management system. And as neighbours, you would expect much better cooperation, much better understanding, in the same way as the UK expected the French government to cooperate on the matter of stopping boats from leaving the northern French coast.
You say it suits Rishi Sunak to talk this up, but it also suits the Irish Prime Minister, doesn't it? Because you have people living in tents outside immigration offices in the centre of Dublin. There are elections coming up in Ireland as well. This is a useful distraction in that sense.
I think this is a serious issue in the UK. We follow English coverage of the Rwanda bill. It's very clear that it undermines UK commitments to international law principles, particularly the European Convention on Human Rights. And from an EU-UK point of view, there is a commitment by the UK under the Trade Cooperation Agreement to make sure that it complies with the European Convention on Human Rights. So there's a vulnerability there for the UK government from being taken to the European to dispute resolution with the European Union on this matter.
What would you say, then, Mr. Andrews, to people who say that there is no difference between asylum seekers passing through the UK to claim asylum in Ireland as opposed to asylum seekers passing through France to claim asylum in the UK?
Look, there is a UK-France deal to deal with this. It was signed in 2023. So what we have an Ireland.
There isn't a returns agreement, is there?
There is a returns agreement between Ireland and the UK from 2020. From immediately the UK withdrew from the European Union. We've had a deal that works, it works well. So what we need now is for people to calm down a little bit. Let's have an adult, grown-up, mature conversation. Find a common sense pathway, because each of us relies on each other's migration management system. And as Rishi Sunak and his Tory government knows better than anybody else, when we see public confidence in migration management being eroded, particularly when it's caused by a neighbouring country, it can lead to a very toxic political environment, and no neighbour should visit that.
Despite the agreement, no asylum seekers have been returned to the UK from Ireland since 2020, and the arrangement had not caused significant issues until recently. This changed in March when Ireland's High Court ruled that designating the UK as a safe third country was unlawful, following the British Supreme Court's ruling in November that the Rwanda plan was unlawful. Sunak's Rwanda plan involved deporting asylum seekers who arrive in the UK irregularly to Rwanda for their applications to be processed there. The plan has encountered numerous legal challenges due to potential violations of the European Convention on Human Rights and difficulties in passing the bill through Parliament. Despite these challenges, the bill was passed in April, and this week saw the UK's first voluntary deportation of a failed asylum seeker to Rwanda.
Immigration is changing what Ireland looks like.
Refugees are welcome here.
In a way and at a pace that some are objecting to.
Scumbags, that's what you are! Scumbags!
During the Dublin riots in November, the issue exploded onto the streets literally. Last year, just over 13,000 asylum seekers arrived in the country, mainly through its airports. That's on top of over 100,000 Ukrainian refugees.
Touch my flag, you. Stop touching that flag. Stop touching my flag.
The backdrop, a housing crisis. It's also being weaponized by a network of anti-immigrant influencers online.
You should feel the same way if you call yourself Irish, but you don't because you have no pride in your nation.
Their mantra, less Céad Míle Fáilte, more Ireland is full. Outside the town of Naas, County Kildare, about an hour from Dublin, around 300 people marched to a site set to accommodate Ukrainian refugees. This site, a similar facility nearby, is at capacity. This one will open soon for almost 1,000 Ukrainians. Ireland has taken in a lot of Ukrainian refugees, but a relatively small proportion of asylum seekers per capita from elsewhere compared to other countries in Europe.
We have a right to know. Nobody told us.
This is part of a growing anti-immigration movement across the country. Last year, there were over 600 demonstrations like this around Ireland, double the number of the year before.
And when the Irish emigrated, they worked for everything they ever earned. They got nothing for free.
Lads,
these people coming here getting everything for free.
Jessica McLaughlin is one of the organisers.
They've been out in the snow, in the rain, in the hail.
Says their main objection to the new arrivals is the strain they'll put on already stretched public services.
In 90 days, we were told those 985 will be turned out to find their own accommodation. If they don't find it, the government will find it for them. Okay? There's thousands of homeless people already here that don't have homes. I live in the middle of a field in a mobile home because there's no home for me.
A local committee was established last year and local councillors were informed. The people demonstrating, though, seem to have no faith at all in any democratic institution. That's why, despite a court injunction, they're camped outside the site day and night.
There is no trust. They were put in there without telling anybody. How can you trust somebody that put something like this under your nose and expect
Did you trust those institutions before this happened?
No, because this is happening all over the country.
Are you nervous about?
We're afraid we're going to be labelled as racist and that we don't like people from different places. But that's not the case. With the fact of the matter is, the facilities we have right now at the minute don't facilitate anybody that's already living here.
When migrant rights are under attack.
On the same day in Dublin, a pro-migrant demonstration marches along O'Connell Street, past the flashpoints of the Dublin riots last year. In the crowd, Abdul from Afghanistan fled when Kabul fell 3 years ago.
You know, I love Ireland. I am becoming in love with Ireland every day and every time. But when you see the negativity and the protest against refugees or the protest, I don't know. It's really frustrating. It makes you disappointing. And when you come here and see this protest and riots and everything, you're like, I escaped from these things. Why I ended up again?
It's a long way to Tipperary. and the town of Roscrea. This is Racket Hall, the town's last hotel. It was recently closed to the public in order to accommodate up to 160 asylum seekers.
Keep walking!
On the 15th of January, the first busload of 17 asylum seekers arrived.
Send it out your own people, you scumbags! That's what you are! Scumbags!
It included women and children who had to run the gauntlet of angry protesters. It got very ugly.
Step push me up.
Same town, different refugee centre, and a video that never went viral of elderly local residents visiting with asylum seekers at the Sean Ross Abbey. Once upon a time, one of Ireland's infamous mother and baby homes.
Daniel, come on, he's very shy.
The place is run by Christine Murphy, Roscrea.
However, the prospect of deportation to Rwanda has driven an influx of asylum seekers migrating from the UK to Ireland via Northern Ireland. This route is accessible due to the common travel area, an open border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. This border was a critical point of contention during the Brexit negotiations, with Ireland determined to keep it open. In response to the increasing number of asylum seekers, Ireland's Parliament passed emergency legislation this week to reverse the High Court's March ruling, allowing the country to deport asylum seekers to the UK. The Irish government announced plans to start these deportations by the end of May. This move angered Sunak, leading to a diplomatic spat between the two governments, with each accusing the other of exploiting legal loopholes to shift the migration burden.
Born and bred. Her reaction to the ugly demonstration at Racket Hall down the road.
It was absolutely disgrace, but I'd like to say as well that that was not the majority of people in Roscrea.
There's a complicated set of dynamics at play in this town. Concern, for example, about what another closed hotel will mean for tourism, but also a relatively new campaign of harassment and intimidation, both of refugees and of the people working with them.
How close has that come to your front door?
Well, we've had people come in and say they want to set fire to the place. We've had people drive around, taking videos, putting out false accusations.
In the last 5 years, there have been over 20 arson attacks on properties in Ireland associated with asylum seekers. And on the 23rd of November last year, it wasn't just asylum centres set alight. Earlier in the day, 3 children and a school worker were stabbed in the centre of Dublin. The suspect, a naturalised Irish citizen, originally from Algeria. Anti-migrant campaigners called people out into the street. And that evening, the worst rioting Dublin had seen in years. On the day, influencers like Gavin Pepper, in a now deleted tweet, wrote, "Everyone, city centre tonight, 7 p.m. No excuses. Everyone out. Enough is enough. Hashtag Ireland is full." We caught up with him at a demonstration in Dublin last week.
Do you regret some of your tweets on that evening at all?
I don't regret any of my tweets because I called for a peaceful protest on the night, and when I arrived there and I seen that it was getting out of hand, I deleted my tweet because I didn't want my people that come to the peaceful protesters in any way to be in any danger in the city centre. That's the reality of it.
Gavin Pepper is running as an independent for a council seat in local elections in June. Our exchange, streamed by his supporters, becomes campaigning, becomes content.
I'm for people who have been left behind, working class mothers that have been left behind. The state doesn't care about them, and neither do you.
Another case in point. On the 27th of February, around 100 people gathered outside an asylum centre in Selbridge on the outskirts of Dublin. They were here because far-right influencers circulated a rumour online that a young girl had been raped inside by 3 migrants. The Gardaí, the Irish police, said it wasn't true.
Philip Dwyer here, citizen journalist.
But that didn't stop people like Philip Dwyer reporting from the scene.
I reported on what was said on social media. That's what I
You
reported.
circulated a rumour.
I reported like you report.
No, that's different, isn't it, though? You circulated a rumour. That was wrong.
Do you know for a fact that a child wasn't raped in that premises?
So, according to the Gardaí said that the child was attacked by someone known to the child, but that there was no sexual assault involved.
So you
now,
know
that's what the Gardaí said.
Do you think the Gardaí are telling the truth on everything?
Why did you circulate that rumour?
What do you mean circulate a rumour? It was reported on social media. I didn't say whether it was true or untrue. I said it was reported on social media. I'm very careful with my words on social media, by the way.
Dwyer does not like being described as far right, but his core belief is this, that immigration is a global conspiracy to replace white Irish people.
Just to be clear, your narrative is that there's a global
The truth
plan,
is my narrative.
There's a global plan to replace the Irish.
Yeah. Replace the white race.
It's a big lie anyway.
Who's in charge of it? The people who control the money are in charge of it. That's a simple question.
The great
Thanks for
replacement
asking.
theory. It's pure textbook.
Is that your opinion?
Right.
Is that your opinion?
Textbook theory.
Is that your
Like
opinion?
the great replacement theory. It's literally from the playbook.
Is it? And so follow the money. Who controls all the money in this world?
People like Dwyer and Pepper make it more difficult for those with genuine concerns around immigration to be heard.
We are here because we're terrified for our children.
But there's also evidence that local campaign groups are adopting their language and tactics. And back at Sean Ross Abbey, that means that men like Sunday from Nigeria have noticed a difference. Fewer offers of a lift home from work, more frosty reception on Irish streets.
So when we came here, at times when we went to the town, we do trek. When we are coming, we see some people, they will offer us free ride down to this place. But now, they don't do that. Even there are some people outside there, if we greet them, they don't answer us. Now.
Okay. And for Christine Murphy, with family who've emigrated like thousands of Irish,
Sunak ruled out any deal with Ireland to accept returned asylum seekers, arguing that if the EU does not accept returns from the UK to France, the UK should not accept them from Ireland, an EU member state. The UK government also contends that the operational agreement signed in 2020 is not legally binding, hence the UK is not legally obligated to accept returned asylum seekers. Meanwhile, the Irish Department of Justice has refused to publish the operational agreement, with Taoiseach Simon Harris stating that Ireland will not provide a solution for other countries' migration issues and will proceed with the returns. Dublin has deployed 100 police officers on the Northern Ireland border for prevention and deportation duties, insisting that this does not violate the common travel area as there will be no checkpoints, although the UK government disagrees.
This is life in Rwanda, a country over 6,000 miles away from the UK, now a key player in its political future, with questions around its safety blocking the government's plans to deport migrants here.
What's striking is just how clean Kigali is by any standard and how well organized it seems. It also does, on the surface, feel incredibly safe. But the question is, who is it safe for?
Safe in terms of guns or whatever, yes, we are safe. We don't have a war. That one we can travel in the night, that is safe. But we have food insecurity.
This emergency transit centre is what the UK and Rwandan governments have cited as a precedent to their deal. Nearly 2,000 asylum seekers have been evacuated here from Libya since 2019, and none of them have chosen to settle in Rwanda. These men tell us they are relieved to have escaped extreme anti-migrant violence. No matter how many years you stay in Libya, you never feel safe, says Al-Tayyib from Sudan. They're waiting to be resettled to third countries like Canada and Finland. I want to go to a country that's safe where I can have a future, says Hamid, who's from Eritrea. Would you stay here, I ask? No, it's just a stop on the way.
What would you tell someone who said to you, I'm coming to Rwanda to start my life and live here permanently? What would you say?
Well, I tell him if you have many resources for money, yeah, come, no problem. But if you start in the beginning, I tell him not come.
And inside, a yell of disbelief. As I tell the women here that the UK is still pushing to send migrants to Rwanda.
After they exhausted themselves to cross the Sahara and the sea, and then to be sent back is devastating.
There's relief here as people wait to fly out. But this isn't where those deported from the UK will be staying. It's back in Kigali at the Hope Hostel, block booked by the UK since May of last year.
It does feel eerily empty, waiting for asylum seekers to come from the UK. But it wasn't always empty. It was actually built to house the survivors of the 1994 genocide who'd lost their families.
The hostel was accommodated around over 220 orphans.
By May last year, how many were living here?
It's around over 22, but they are already graduated.
The residents, all adults, were evicted to make room for the UK deportees and given some money to rehouse themselves by the Rwandan government, who are still working with the UK to make the deal happen.
We're offering a home to people. We're comfortable with that, and we would never have entered this partnership if we weren't sure that we can successfully offer people a good place to live, in a place where we've worked really hard to make sure that the country is functional.
Given the current political climate in both countries, a resolution to this dispute seemed unlikely. Sunak unlikely to back down, as it would have undermined the progress made with the Rwanda plan and affect his popularity. The diversion of asylum seekers to Ireland was seen as a positive outcome for Sunak, suggesting that the deterrent effect of the Rwanda plan is working. However, the Irish government is equally concerned about immigration, having admitted a record number of asylum seekers in recent years, including over 100,000 Ukrainian refugees and another 25,000 irregular asylum seekers. Immigration has become a significant issue in Irish politics, with many voters, especially on the right, expressing concerns over the number of asylum seekers and the government's failure to integrate them. The number of asylum seekers requiring state housing has surged, particularly after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with polling indicating that a majority of Irish voters believe the country has taken in too many refugees. This issue is a major factor in the declining poll ratings of the opposition party Sinn Féin. With national elections approaching next year and local elections in June, the new Taoiseach will likely adopt a hardline stance on immigration. Blaming the UK for the migration issues is a politically advantageous move. This impasse is difficult to resolve given the political dynamics in both countries. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel.